Why is it that the people that are out campaigning for Ukraine not to be slaughtered aren't doing the same thing for the Israelis that were mowed down in their beds just a few weeks ago? Men, women, children, grandparents, babies, invalids. Why? I want to read you a quote and get your opinion. Somebody put this up, and I've seen it a number of times in the last several weeks. Quote, I don't recall any of my friends advocating for a ceasefire in Ukraine amidst thousands of innocent deaths. Yet after 3 weeks of dismal silence regarding the violent abuse, murders, and child abductions of Israelis, they suddenly remembered to express their concern for Palestinians who support terror organizations, the very individuals who celebrated and praised the terrorists in the streets. Shame on you for this selective expression of concern. And I would add to that, when these barbarians broke into Israel and killed hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of families, men, women, children, pregnant women, babies, grandmothers, grandfathers, people in wheelchairs, people from 30 countries plus Israel. There was a little common condemnation of the slaughter, but now 3 weeks later, these same people are protesting how bad it is that Hamas is being bombed. Are these the people would have said, hey, don't go after Osama bin Laden after 9/11? Are they the same people who would have said, don't go after the Japanese after Pearl Harbor? Are they the same people that said, don't go after the Nazis after Hitler destroyed half of Europe? Would they have said, just make a truce with these people, we can trust them? Or is it something else?
It's something else. It's really disgusting to see this happen, Barry. And it's amazing to me the UN Council just voted for Israel to do a ceasefire. Did you hear about that?
Yep.
They voted for Israel to do a ceasefire.
Overwhelming.
Yes, overwhelming. Israel, you stop firing. My question, Barry, I would like to ask them, did y'all ask Hamas to do a ceasefire? But they don't ask Hamas. They don't ask the people in Palestine. Why? Because Palestine is not a recognized state, nation to the United Nations. It's not a state. They don't even recognize it as a state, but they do recognize Israel. But yet they're calling for Israel to allow their people to constantly be killed, butchered, murdered. And they're worse than barbarians. These are demonic demon animals. They need to be dealt with. They're rabid. They need to be put down. And I'm not a violent person, Barry, but this, and I'll tell you, I've said this so many times, it's gone far too long. It's gone on too far. They've got to do it. And here's a great example. They want Israel to cease fire as if that's going to stop the killings from taking place. It's not going to. They're going to kill more Israelis. And they're just going to regroup. You and I, we talked about that. All it does is give them time, Hamas, to regroup, reorganize so they can attack even more. That's all that does. But put it like this, Barry. Here in the United States of America, we have this thing called the Second Amendment. They want to take the Second Amendment and say, law-abiding citizens, you should not be able to protect yourself. Same thing with Israel. Same scenario. But the criminals, they're going to have the guns. The criminals, they're not telling the criminals to stop being criminals because that's what they do. They're not telling Hamas to stop being Hamas because that's what they do. It's so crazy. They go after those who adhere to the law. Hamas and these evil people, they don't play by the same rules, Barry. They do not play by the same rules. You can't expect them to play by the same rules. Israel, ceasefire. Hamas, we can't tell them anything. They're not a state, so they do whatever they want.
That's very true. That's a really interesting analysis, and I don't disagree with it.